Hey everyone, iGrok here. In the last video, I stated that I was going to give a video explaining the idea of knowingness and the idea of grok too. You know, the idea behind my name, iGrok, and you know how I grok to come up with the name iGrok. But I guess the best way is just start straight from the beginning. It came from one of my favorite books. It's honestly the most intriguing book I have ever read in my entire life. It's called Stranger in a Strange Land. You see it in the little introduction, little blurb that I have at the beginning of the video. It was written by Robert Heinlein, and it's a science fiction novel, essentially about a man that was raised by Martians, and when he came back to Earth, he essentially had to learn how to be a human. And then he taught other humans how to be a Martian, and yeah, so I'm trying not to spoil the book too much, because by explaining grok, I kind of spoil the book, but it's something that kind of goes over, I think, the vast majority of every person who's read the book, and probably goes over the head of everyone who hasn't read the book. And what I mean is the concept of grok, and the concept of what it means to be a Martian in comparison to what it means to be a human. And like I said, you guys get the opportunity to hear that today. So just in case you're interested, like I said, that book's Stranger in a Strange Land by Robert Heinlein. It should be available on Amazon, I'm sure. I'm not a sponsor, but it's my favorite book in the world. So basically, there's an idea that I have interpreted throughout the book, which is never explicitly stated throughout the book whatsoever. So, like I said, if you believe my interpretation to be true, then spoiler alert at this point. So if you're planning on reading the book, you need to pause the video right now, go purchase the book, wait for it to come in the mail, read the entire book, and then come back and listen to this video afterwards if you don't want to be spoiled. But anyway, if not, I'm going to keep moving on. But Martians are essentially a species of highly intuitive creatures. In a sense, they evolved with a strong emphasis on intuition. Whilst you can compare that to humans, who were a species of highly intelligent creatures, a species who evolved with a strong emphasis on intelligence. But then you can take it a step further once you add animals into the mix, because then it becomes a little bit more complex, and it starts to create a better picture of the events that are to occur within the story of Stranger in a Strange Land. It helps me to describe to you what grok actually means. Grok is a Martian word, and other than Robert Heinlein, I don't know, to my understanding, there's not many people that understand how to speak Martian, so you're going to be a part of a very select few. I just hope you understand and appreciate the weight of that. But essentially, like I said, you throw animals into the mix with the idea of animals and then humans. I want to differentiate humans from animals in one aspect solely of a behavior that was emphasized through evolution, and put it that way. I don't want to say that humans aren't animals, because I believe humans are animals. We're just really, really intelligent animals. Far more intelligent than the next most intelligent animal. Enough to set us aside. So animals on Earth are species that evolved primarily using their instinct, a strong emphasis on instinct, and a much smaller emphasis on intelligence, but still able to utilize intelligence, and almost little to no emphasis on intuition. Okay? And this is a very, very important thing to keep in mind, and what I believe to be a major factor that humans don't even realize is what is separating them from other animals. Martians, I'll get to man last. Martians, on the other hand, in comparison to animals, like I said, primarily emphasized evolution on instinct, with a smaller emphasis on intelligence, little to no emphasis on intuition. Martians were a species that evolved with a strong emphasis on intuition and a smaller emphasis on instinct, little to no emphasis on intelligence. And this is weird to hear, but once I throw in the mixture of man, maybe it'll start to make a little sense. And I'll give a definition of these three words in a minute as well. But man is a species that involved primarily emphasizing intelligence and had, I would say, an almost balanced emphasis between instinct and intuition. And I say that because we are highly instinctual creatures, but we are also highly intuitive creatures. That's what really sets us aside from, like I said, from animals in that sense, is because we have this ability to intuit things. We have this ability to experience the world with a strong emphasis on our emotions. And that allows us to, because we have so much power cognitively, the connection between feeling these emotions and then interpreting them cognitively allows us to act in very organized and coordinated ways. And we're supposed to be using our feelings as a sort of radar, you know, to tell us a sort of scale of goodness or badness as to, you know, not only what we're projecting out onto the world, but what the world is, you know, weighing back on us. But again, this idea is really, really understood a lot better when you look at the definitions. Intuition is the ability to understand something immediately without the need for conscious reasoning. This is essentially empathizing, but empathizing so deeply that you understand. It's almost as if you are experiencing the world through your subconscious. That's another idea though. But anyway, instinct, however, is defined as an innate, typically fixed pattern of behavior in animals in response to certain stimuli. Now, instinct is juxtaposed to intuition in the sense that instinct and intuition are both things that you don't necessarily need cognition for, or in a sense you don't need intelligence for. However, instinct can be remedied and made better with intelligence. And the same thing with intuition. However, like I said, intuition, unlike instinct needs some form of intelligence because you need to know what your instincts are telling you in order to act on them properly. And you also need to know when your instincts are not working correctly so that you're not acting inappropriately in situations that don't make sense. So you need a level of intelligence with your instinct. But with intuition, to know something immediately, you do not need conscious reasoning. And if you have a program of intuition running where you're just, of instinct running in the background, where you have strongly developed it's like you're storing the information of immediate retention through your evolution, as opposed to storing the information of how to process something. And how to process is more intelligence, which is the ability to acquire and apply knowledge and skills. And I think, like I said, evolutionarily, humans have stored the ideas of how to process information and apply that information through our DNA. But this idea in Stranger in a Strange Land, like I said, which is never explicitly stated, is that Martians are a race that they implanted intuitive programs, or, you know, I don't know. Their DNA is filled with a highly evolved emphasis on intuition. And this brings us to this word that was translated through the main character as one, if not only, of the words that were brought up in the Martian language that was able to be translated into a word, but still not properly given the definition. The definition, the word is a real word and is in the dictionary now because of this book. This book is one of the most famous science fiction books of all time. So this is not me just making up stuff. You can Google grok. It is a real word because of this book. But it means to understand something intuitively or by empathy. And essentially what that means, you can understand what it means to grok something. Like, you have groked things before and you didn't even realize it. And the experience is when something essentially clicks to you, When, you know, you understand something in your mind and you know why you shouldn't do this behavior, and you get it, and you've done it over and over, and you felt the pain over and over, and you know the pain is coming, but you keep doing it in types of situations. Same thing can exist with pleasure types of situations as well, or anything within the spectrum. It's just easiest to understand in this case. But it is when it clicks and you understand it by way of the emotions, by way of the feelings, by way of the signals that are not cognitive, when you understand it deeply at an intuitive level and without cognition, that is when it is grokked. That is when it is known fully throughout your entire being. That is when you can utilize your intelligence to understand what you've intuited. It's like when you intuit something, it is almost instinctually stored into you. It's almost, in a sense, learning how to tap into the part of you as an organism that develops habits and behaviors, in a sense. But again, I told you I was going to tell you what knowingness is, and knowingness, in a sense, is speaking directly from intuition. It is essentially the language of grokking. And so, yeah, like I said, I'm going to give you a full video on knowingness, or speaking in knowingness. Like I said, the language of grokking. So keep a lookout for it. Hope you enjoy it. Leave a like or comment down below, and share, share, share.